Okay, quick introduction. You guys know who I am. I'm the Macau Esports Federation founder. I also own one of the LPL franchise teams called Victory 5. And today, we're going to talk about esports. So, just so everybody gets on the same page, what makes a sport big? First question. Now, if I were to ask you guys in the audience, what is the biggest sport in the world? Football? Yes, somebody said football. Anything else? Basketball, that's right. Okay, we can do this, and then we're ultimately going to get to tennis, and then badminton, and then gymnastics, and then golf, and snooker, and then we tail off, right? Why? Why does everybody think football is the biggest sport? And then it goes basketball. What if there were to be a ranking? How do we come up with a ranking? And why do we already mentally have one? In our minds, there are a lot of metrics for us to actually discuss how big each sport is and exactly how much bigger each sport is than another. Now, the first one, obviously, has to be viewership. Why do you say football? Because football is the most watched sport in the world. Football competitions, the World Cup, is the most watched event on the globe. So you say football, and then you think, oh, well, then it has to be basketball, right? Because everybody watches the NBA. Everybody watches the NBA Finals, which is ongoing right now. I mean, good luck to the Heat. I don't like the Lakers. So then you go and think, okay, well, then it goes tennis. So obviously, viewership, people who play, people who watch, people who participate in the sport is what makes a sport big. And then secondly, is probably prize money. I mean, why does that make sense? And intuitively, it should. The bigger a sport gets, the more commercial value it has, the bigger the prize pool, right? It makes a lot of sense. Nobody is going to think winning Wimbledon is going to earn you less money than winning a snooker competition. Pretty intuitive. Thirdly, sponsors. Same thing, commercial value. Why do companies put money into being a sponsor? It's a marketing plan, isn't it? So the more people, the more eyeballs they can catch, the bigger the bucks, right? We all know how much it is to sponsor, let's say a World Cup event, multi-million packages, and how much it is to sponsor a local Macau football competition, right? Probably in the 5 to 6 figures. So that's another big metric into determining how big a sport is. And then you got the associations, right? We think, oh, football, FIFA, right? NBA, we think, wow, Adam Silver. All these really glamorous professional associations that lead a sport into being the professional sport it is today. But lastly, most importantly, other than viewership, it might actually be clubs. So why would I say clubs make the biggest part of what a sport is? It's because clubs touches everybody the closest. Okay, I have never heard anybody in the world say, I'm a fan of NBA. No, you say I play basketball and I'm a fan of the Boston Celtics, right? If I ask you, you watch football, right? And you say, yeah, I watch football. What are you a fan of? You don't say, I'm a huge fan of La Liga. I watch every single game on the weekend, and I like every single team, and I follow every single result. No, you don't. There's one specific club that touches you, and you're a fan of. Obviously, that's going to be, if it's in the La Liga, it's Real Madrid, or if it's the Premier League, it's going to be Manchester United. So, clubs is the biggest part of a sport. Some people might say I'm a fan of a specific player, like Cristiano Ronaldo, greatest player of all time. But Ronaldo is an asset of a club. Currently, Juventus's, previously Man U, and then Real Madrid's. So all things come back to clubs itself. Now, if I talk about a football club in your mind, a huge sports club, this is in your mind. And if I talk about a player, this goes on in your mind. But when I talk about esports, this goes on in your mind. A bunch of lame kids, who don't do their homework playing in the internet bars, right? Parents hate them. And if I say esport player, this goes in your mind. Everybody's watched this episode, right, from South Park? So, today, what is my main topic? What am I here to tell you? It's a simple message. I'm here to tell you, I'm not here to convince you, that esport clubs will, and in many aspects, have already taken over traditional sports clubs. That's right. E-Star is going to be bigger than Valencia. V5 is going to be bigger than Everton. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? Because we just looked at the pictures, the differences graphically, 70,000 people stadiums and internet bar. And then super mega global superstar, like a fat gamer. Now, this is reality, and today I'm here to tell you. So, let's go. First off, we learned about how do we analyze a sport market, right? In terms of how do we come up with the ranking that we did, which is football, basketball, and tennis, and volleyball, and all that. Now, let's apply the same metrics into the market of esports. Let's talk viewership first. Since 2014 or 2015, the NBA Finals, it's got to be a big deal in the world of sports. But the LOL, League of Legends World's Finals, has already exceeded the NBA Finals viewership. Okay, that doesn't sound quite right. Because the NBA Finals should and is one of the most watched events in the whole world. But in this past few years, the change has already taken place. League of Legends is not the sole representation of esports. It's just one of the most popular games. But its finals has already exceeded the NBA. What if we were to add the finals of Dota 2 and League of Legends Worlds and Fortnite and PUBG and 王者荣耀, which is King of Honors? If we add all those numbers together, I actually don't think we would be far off in the World Cup. NBA Finals, over that. Champions League Finals, way over that. Super Bowl, way over that too. Second thing, prize money. The prize money for Dota 2 is roughly at 40 million US dollars, the prize pool. Where does that rank in the world of sports? Well, it's pretty close to what Nadal might get tonight if he beats Djokovic in the Roland Garros final. It is nearly at the Wimbledon, but how much has it exceeded? The Stanley Cup, biggest hockey competition in the world. Tour de France, biggest cycling event in the world. So it's already up there, 40 million US dollars. Singular player game, Fortnite, everybody knows the story, right? A 16-year-old kid recently won $2 million playing Fortnite. Who here makes more than $2 million playing games? Nobody, right? So reality is hit. And then we talk about sponsors. The current list of sponsors for the LPL is KFC, Nike, L'Oreal Paris. Okay, which of that sounds like it couldn't happen to be a sponsor in a major sports event? None, because they are. Because Nike sponsors most sport events. Because KFC is at a level where it does sponsor a lot of sports events. So where does that put LPL, which is only a regional competition here in China for League of Legends? If you conclude all the sponsors that happen in all the other games, you'll start to find what used to be just headphones and hardwares and keyboards, or maybe energy drinks, is now everyday products and everyday Fortune 500 companies. Then associations. Well, we're not at FIFA yet, but there are associations and frontiers like mine, like the Macau one, but even bigger like the Asia one, AESF, the IESF, the International Esports Federation, that are making things happen. The AESF recently did a really big push on the Jakarta Esports Olympic Games, which they actually awarded gold medals. And they're pushing for that for the Asian Games in about 2 years' time. Now, after that, where would you rank esports? If we go back to our first question. Now, you would go, still football. Then, I don't know if it's basketball or not, but it could probably still be basketball. You're not going to tell me it's tennis afterwards. You're going to tell me it's esports. So in one go, Esports, on a number level, I mean, okay, you guys know I'm a numbers person, right? Has already exceeded most sports apart from the 2 or the 3. So if the markets are comparable, basketball and esports, football and esports, doesn't it sound a little more possible now that esport clubs could be bigger than sports clubs? So, first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to analyzing a club's success is definitely fan base. You're going to tell me, football has so many fans, football clubs have so many fans. I mean, look at the stadiums. Every time a game happens, 30,000 people, 50,000 people, 70,000 people go watch the games. You guys play in internet bars. Okay, well, let's pull up the numbers and compare. Everybody knows Inter Milan, right? One of the most prolific, famous Italian football teams. One of the most historic, too. I mean, I think they might have 50 or 100 years old. I don't know what kind of history. Now let's look at FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan is one of the most popular esport teams in the world right now, incorporated not long ago. If it's comparing with, Inter Milan, it is not comparable. But it has double the fans. Not only has double the fans, it has double the engagement numbers, which means these aren't zombie fans who follow for no reason. No, these guys are hardcore fans who interact, who watch, who like, who comment, who repost, who is one of the big members of this, FaZe Clan group. Okay, that's just one club, you say. In the entire Serie A, which is the Italian Football League, if you put FaZe Clan in there, in terms of the Instagram follower number, it would rank second. Only second to Juventus, because Juventus has Ronaldo's fans. So AC Milan, Napoli, Lazio, all of that is inferior to one esport club. And if you put that in the Premier League, FaZe Clan would rank the 6th. So lots of clubs you guys have heard about. Everton, Southampton, Crystal Palace, etc. Not even close. Put them in the La Liga, they would be 3rd, only behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. So actually, we do have a lot of fans. And if anything, these fans have exceeded over 50% of the largest European football leagues. Okay, then you tell me, well, okay, you got a lot of fans, they're online, they don't go to a 30,000, seat stadium game every single weekend, right? That's because we couldn't. There weren't esport games that happened every single week, right? Now there is. In China, there are now 6 cities, Chengdu, Shenzhen, Chongqing, Shanghai, can't remember the rest, that actually got offline esports stadium rights to host these events every single week. So yes, these fans will be able to go to a stadium and watch these games every now and then. Then you tell me, but sport clubs have a lot of celebrities involved, right? Well, we've got the most followed person on Instagram in Asia, part of the esports community here in China, and many more who are engaging and investing and doing more. Just like the Toronto Raptors has a Drake, we've got our own Jackson. Same comment. Then what do you tell me? Oh, okay, scrap the fans, scrap the stadiums, scrap the celebrities. We're worth more than you. Because who wouldn't want to own a football club, right? Because it's worth so much money. I mean, who are the people that own football clubs? Multi-billionaires, European, billionaire families, Middle Eastern oil kings and emperors and all that. Okay, hold on just a second. This is the KPMG yearly update of how much football clubs are worth. They only list the top 32. Okay. If you look at that number all the way on the left, well, you're right. That's US dollars. So that means simply Lazio, for example, grew 11% in terms of value from last year, and now they're worth 367 million US dollars. Do you know how much FaZe Clan is worth? Do you know how much Team Solo Mid is worth, or Cloud9, or Team Liquid? I mean, I'm not going to talk about my own company, just because there's conflicted information. But these clubs also have their own rankings on Forbes every single year. FaZe Clan's at 400 million. So is Team Solo Mid. Cloud9 comes shortly after that at around 300 million US dollars. Okay. So let's do an apples for apples thing. Let's say we exchanged FaZe Clan for US dollars. And then we look at Lazio and exchange that for US dollars. Whoever owns FaZe Clan could sell that asset and buy Lazio. And many more. Because Lazio is worth 367, we know that. What about the rest of the Serie A league? I mean, we know Lazio is ranked pretty high up. That means the highest worth esport club right now is worth more than 60% of the entire Italian league as well. It's not just the fans. It's the actual monetary value. Okay. And the growth of these football clubs is nowhere near as high and quickly as esport clubs. So give it another 5 years, give it another 10 years. We might not be able to buy Lazio with our club. We could maybe shoot for Everton or something higher. Okay, I mentioned growth just now. Esports has been around for a pretty short time, right? And if you look at the NBA, it's 74 years. If you include the period before it became professional, probably over 100 years. The Champions League, 65 years, one song, everybody can sing it here. We don't need to try it. But the LPL has only been around for 10. And in just 10 years, this league is able to rival these two giants in sport. What if you gave it 10 more years? Do you think the Champions League final song is going to change in 10 years? No, of course not. Do you think the finals, the playoff system is going to change for NBA? No, of course not. Celtics will still be great. But what's going to happen in 10 years for esports if you gave it one more decade? Could it exceed these two? Who knows? Could it be directly comparable? It already is. There are things that the world of esports can grow, which the traditional sports can't. Okay? Offline. Yeah, they've gone through that stage of building stadiums, to watching it, to nobody going to the stadiums this year. Esport is at the embryonic stages where we're starting to get the opportunity to go to offline to watch a game. Live streaming is something that just doesn't happen. I mean, who is going to watch Ronaldo kick the same ball in a training game for 2 hours straight? Not a lot of people. But are there a lot of people who want to watch people play games for 2 hours straight? Ton of people. Skins. How many football shirts can you sell, Manchester United? You're getting ridiculous now. Training kit, second training kit, European, group stage training kit, casual wear number 2 now. There's going to be a bottleneck for traditional sports to do merchandise. But what if it's virtual? Then there isn't. For example, one of my friend's teams won the finals for the King of Honors. And one of his players got an FMVP, Finals MVP skin, that is still selling to this date, and they get a revenue share from that. Products. Gucci, I think, did something with Fnatic. And more brands are collaborating with esport clubs. When are we going to see that happen in traditional sport clubs? We have. It's been there for a long time. But everything in esports is starting. Applications. Man U has an app. I mean, how well does it do? We can tell. But when people can monetize fans online with esports, applications are going to pop up everywhere. We saw DraftKings go listing recently this year. There's only more. Skills went listing this year. There's only going to be more. But the biggest growth and difference between esport clubs and esport as a market over traditional is actually mental. Numbers, I think I've convinced you, right? Valuation, fans, offline, we're there. And we're going to be bigger. But something that's going to grow even more, and that's the perception of esports. This is what people think about. When you think about a nice family Sunday where parents are playing sports, engaging with their children, do you know what it is now? Yay! We play games with kids. I'm a father now. I'm a parent. Young one, albeit. But this is our activity. This is the activity that people from my age grew up liking on an everyday basis. We watch content. We play content. This is part of my life. So guess what is going to be my perception when I grow a little bit older, educating the next generation? When my kids come home and say, hey, Dad, turn on the TV, I want to watch the LPL weekend game, there is not going to be a single difference between nowadays when we used to go and tell our parents, hey, Dad, turn on the Premier League game. Perception is changing about esports. And this is going to be permanent. Just like each generation has their specific sport that they like, this is going to be the biggest force. Who is going to be controlling, the content that ends up on social media or traditional media or businesses? Our generation. And in our generation, this is the norm. Tennis is the niche. And that's going to be the case for a really long time. So, let's do a reality check before I end this. I'm a 25-year-old kid who graduated from college 4 years ago, and I'm telling you esports clubs is going to be bigger than traditional sport clubs. All right, don't listen to me. How about you listen to these people and see what they think? The governments. Well, esports is already a recognized sport in China and in most other countries, and it's already headed its way into the Asian Olympic Games. The Olympics Committee is very heavily involved. The stock markets. I mean, you got to trust people who do the stock markets, right? There are already esport companies that have IPO'd. Investors. There are so many VCs, PE funds, hedge funds, billionaires that invest in esports whom you respect their business decisions. Trust them. And lastly, trust the sport clubs because they are the guys that feel threatened by this new industry. Sport clubs have now invested into creating their own esport clubs. Schalke has an own LEC slot, etc., etc. So, people usually end their talks with, oh, what do I hear and what do I expect things to go in the future, right? Huge stadiums, lots of people, Olympic medals, listed companies, great future, except that was last year and the year before. So today, I hope I've told you, not convinced you, that esport clubs and esport as a market is going to rival traditional sports, and specifically esport clubs will be, if not, are already bigger than a lot of traditional sport clubs. Thank you very much.